everybody, it's Romania Black. So, I've been told that at the end of Season 2, there were two OVAs. There were two final OVAs for Ace of the Diamond so far that have been released, the fourth and the fifth one. And I've watched OVAs 1 through 3, which I was told at the beginning that the first 3 OVAs were kind of more filler. They weren't really canon, and they were really cute. I liked them, but I've been told that these two OVAs are canon, so they are connected to the plot. They are important. So I've spent the day doing research for my Attack on Titan recap, and so at the end of the day, I'm like, I need to just watch something. And I was like, I want to watch the Ace of the Diamond OVAs now that I'm done with Season 2 officially. So yeah, I am recording a little bit ahead, but I want to be prepped up before we start Act 2, technically Season 3. So I have gone to the sketchiest of sketch sites once again to watch these OVAs. It's fine. It's fine. I've got a Mac. It's fine. It's probably not going to get a virus. Knock on wood. So, I'm just, I wish that Funimation or Crunchyroll would license the OVAs. That's the one thing I get so frustrated by. Funimation finally licensed the OVAs for Attack on Titan. OVAs are part of the series. They were animated by the same company. They're tied to the same story. Why are they not licensed? I don't understand. I'm like, y'all are just losing money. Now I have to go to some sketch site to watch it. So that's my rant. But I am excited to see these OVAs. I have no clue what they're going to be about, but they're going to tie us. They're going to be the nice bridge between Season 2 ending, which ended on such a beautiful note, and then Act 2 starting. So I'm very curious what all... The OVA that I've got pulled up, I've got number 4 pulled up, and it's 24 minutes long. So it's about like an episode. I'm assuming that's what the 5th OVA is going to be as well. So I'm like, okay, these two episodes that are going to be combining us. There is a summary here on the website, though. It came with the limited edition DVD that will animate Face Kominato Ryosuke's special, blah, which appeared in the Ace of the Diamond official guidebook, the moving secret story of the Kaminota brothers that can't be seen in the television series. Is that what this is about? Interesting. I don't know. We had a Haruichi and Ryo. We had an OVA about them, so I'm curious. Maybe this is... I don't know. I don't know if that's describing the third OVA or what's happening, but I'm curious to know what's going to happen with this OVA and how it's going to tie to the next season, so that's going to be exciting, but we've wasted enough time. So because this is on a sketch website, like I did with the first OVA sets, if you see the reaction cut in and out, I'll try to pause it, but it's because some weird pop-ups come up, so that's why. So again, I'm watching this on a sketch site, but what can we do? We can only do so much, right? So hopefully that won't happen throughout the reaction, but we'll see. But let's not waste any more time. I'm excited to watch OVAs 4 and 5 of Ace of the Diamond, and we're going to start those here in 3, 2, 1, and let's jam. That felt so short. That felt so short. That went by so quickly. What the heck? What the heck? That went by so fast. That was like gone. So yeah. How about that? Those were good. I like those. I like that because I did feel like episode 51, there was so much packed into it. And I was like, oh, we're already at the end. And so the 5th OVA expanded on that more. And so did this 4th one too, talking about the Jingu tournament, talking about the winter camp, leading up to the second game at Nationals already. I'm curious to know in Act 2 if we go back and see the first game or if it just went smooth sailing. And it's funny, we can spend 16 episodes on the Inashiro versus Sato game, and then we cover a game and a half of Nationals in the span of 5 minutes. So this series, why should I be surprised? But yeah, so OVA 4 was the Sato Diary and Takako. I always forget the girl managers' names because we never really, they're there, but we don't see a lot of them. And so Takako was the one Takako's one I ship with Yuki. Like, old Tetsu, I ship him and Takako pretty hard. I'm like, if they got together, I wouldn't be surprised. But, so she had the diary of all the Sato, the plays and everything, and she gave it to Haruno. Haruno has the side ponytail. She's the one that's in Sawamura's class to get all the paperwork and everything. And so I like that. It's so sweet. There's like so many little sweet moments in this. And that's what I love about Ace of the Diamond is when they do the off the field moments, it shows like how they all bond and how they do things like a team would. And if you've ever been part of a competitive team before, you know what all those moments feel like. So it's like you get the camaraderie and like the goofy pranks and everything like that all feels so natural in this series. It's so nice. But yeah, so we get them all confronting the coach. They thought Katioka was going to cry, so they went and confronted him outside of his office. I'm like, that's so mean, but it's also... I also love that it's the third years and Sawamura. Like, you know Sawamura just tagged along with Chris, and Chris was like, okay, you can come. It's like... It's so cute. But yeah, and then we get Yui and Sachi. Now, Sachi is the girl that has the pigtails, and she's the one that likes Nori. I think from the Nori OVA, she's the one that kind of like, we were all, I think in the comments, everybody was like, she kind of likes him. It's like, yeah, she likes Nori. I'm like, okay, Sachi and Yui. So we finally get some stuff with Miyuki. I like that we got that in this, that he has to recover for 3 weeks. And I actually love his reaction because they, first of all, tell him they can't play. Kateoka's like, you're not even on the roster. You're going to sit out 3 weeks. Don't even argue. No excuses. And he's like, ugh. And then they make Kuromochi the proxy captain. And he's like, ugh. And then they make Ono the catcher. And his reaction is it's very Sawamura-like, where he's like, he's just like fidgeting. Like, what do I do? Like, it was very Sawamura-like. I was like, oh, how about that, huh, you troll? Huh, interesting. And I love the establishment. She's like, all these pitchers are getting chummy. Like Sawamura and Furuya and Nori, they're all getting along and getting chummy since I'm not there to shake things up. But I love seeing Sawamura and Furuya like bonding. Like in these two OVAs, we get like the subtle little thing of them bonding and like talking to one another. Like when Sawamura in the 5th OVA goes on the mound, Furuya is telling him what to expect from the batters. I'm like, Furuya communicating with Sawamura about what to expect? Like at the start of the season, they like could barely give each other the ball, and now they're like talking about what to expect and spurring each other on. It's like, I love that. That's so good. But yeah, also that ball technique, that like medicine ball, that like exercise ball, that when Haruichi was on it doing the batting thing, that would be difficult. That requires some core strength to do, because I've done exercises like that on a ball that's like a little exercise ball like that. It's not easy. It looks easy, but I've done some like weight training stuff on a ball like that, and it seems like it'd be simple. No, that takes so much balance and coordination and like core muscles. And so for Haruichi to be able to bounce on the ball and swing a bat, that's insane. And then we get Sawamura, and Sawamura's doing like, I've done the push-ups like on a ball like that. That's funny. But then Furuya's just like balancing on it like a telepathic monk. And I love that Haruno's like, oh my god, what are you guys doing? So cute. But I love that we get Sawamura and Furuya bonding and their friendship developing in that moment. It's really cool. And then we see Miyuki with Nabe. So that's a cool callback to everything in season 2. Miyuki with Nabe. That's neat. And Miyuki gets called out by the managers and Nabe. They're like, you didn't cheer in the stands. And you could probably infer that Miyuki was not only frustrated and trying to like piece things together, but he was also intently watching the game, and he was so probably caught up in what was going on that he wasn't cheering. Right? And then Ray telling Miyuki, she's like, you need to open up. You need to communicate more. You need to be more expressive. As they're going to the physical therapy, she's like, you need to find a way to communicate your thoughts, because otherwise nobody's going to know them. And then he tries to shoot it right back at her. He's like, well, who do you talk to? And she's like, let's not go there. It's great. But man, the working with Chris, with the physical therapy, and Miyuki being like, acknowledging just how strong Chris is, that Chris still keeps doing what he's doing despite knowing if he's ever going to play again or not. He just keeps working at it because he has faith it's going to happen, and he's working towards this goal, and he's not giving up. It's like, and honestly, what a parallel. Miyuki telling Chris, he's like, I'm going to steal this spot from you. It sounded just like Sawamura telling him he's going to steal the Ace's spot, but it's a different context because of Sawamura's like, I'm going to steal the Ace's spot from you, Furuya, and I'm going to do it through my hard work and everything and by being better than you. And when we cut to Miyuki doing the whole stealing spot, he doesn't realize at that moment that Chris is dealing with an injury, right? Because Chris isn't telling anybody. And then we go back to season 1. We were talking on the Discord about how season 1 seems like such a weird trip now, and it does. Season 1 is so much different than season 2 that it's so odd to look back on those moments and you're like, wow, we've come a long way, right? It's so neat. But yeah, And at the end there, Miyuki's like, I can never win against you, Chris Senpai. It's like, I mean, apples and oranges, but Chris Senpai, can he be beat? I don't think so. Mm-mm. So yeah, this training camp, the winter camp from hell. So we get established that they went to the Jingu tournament. They went to the tournament, and I think, what was it? We were trying to say they went to the tournament, and they ended up getting out, like, in the, like, first or second round. I think they got out, like, a couple rounds into it. I don't know if I wrote it down or not. I was, like, trying to pay more attention than writing notes. But yeah, I think they were only in, like, a couple games, and then they ended up getting out. Like, Furuya and Ono made an error. That was the thing. Furuya and Ono made an error, and that's why they got out. Okay? So, interesting. I could have swore I wrote it down. Yeah, Furuya and Ono, they had an error, and they lost 4-3. So that is good to know that, at least in the OVAs, Furuya can make an error and lose a game. But Sawamura pitched all these innings, and then Furuya came in to close it, and the close just didn't work. And I'm sure Miyuki blamed the fact that he wasn't there to help catch, because Ono and Furuya just didn't have the same synergy. Interesting. But yeah, the training camp, it is a lot of dedication. And I think that, I know that in Japan, Christmas is a whole different ballgame than here in the U.S. In the U.S., it's like, on Christmas Day, you don't do anything. Everything stops, and you don't go to work, you don't do nothing. But in Japan, things keep going. And so I think it's really interesting that these guys, they gave up their holidays with their family to go to this baseball camp and do all this baseball stuff. And then during the camp, it's like so hellish and gruesome that they're like, why are we doing this again? And then they get reminded at the end that it was all worth it. But it's a lot of dedication. A lot. And I love the idea of we get to see what each of them are working on in the training camp. Sawamura being like, I'm going to become the complete Sawamura. Like, he's using the bunting thing to hit the ball, and it works that one time, and then it doesn't work. But I like that we get that. And then, yeah, Furuya, they get in the bath. And man, Furuya is so much taller than Sawamura. I feel like Furuya's grown. I feel like Furuya's gotten taller since season 2 started. Like, it's been gradual. A lot of you have commented how you can look back, and I have the guidebook back there on the shelf, and I was looking through it the other day, and you can really tell, I shared a picture on Discord, how much Sawamura has, like, gained in muscle since first year. It's super weird. Like, when they announced in the 5th OVA, they're like, second year Furuya Satoru, I was like, second year? Oh, that's so odd to hear. It's so weird to hear. They're not first years anymore. It's like, oh, man. I have to say, the funniest thing about this OVA was Ochiai and his reaction to accepting the assistant coaching position. That was hysterical, where Ray's like, you know, if you'll come back, and he's like, oh, if you'll have me. And he's looking at a work catalog trying to find a job. Amazing. And then he's like, I've got to pay off my mansion. I've got a 5-year-old daughter. I'm like, wait, what? I feel like maybe it's a joke. Maybe he doesn't have a mansion, but he could have a 5-year-old daughter. Okay. I think it's more of a joke that he was like, oh, I got to pay the bills somehow, and that's why he took the job. And he really just took it because he wanted it. But that is funny. That's probably the most funny Ochiai has been in this so far, is in when Ray confronted him looking, and he's like desperate for a job. That was great. But yeah, the training camp through hell, going from Christmas. I don't know who the guy was at the very end. I don't know who that was. If that was like a cartoon cameo, or if he's like somebody important, or if he's been in a past OVA. I don't remember, and my mind went blank. So y'all have to tell me in the comments who that was, because I was like, huh? I was so confused. But yeah, so we have that one, and then we have OVA number 5, which is Glory. And so we had said the Sato Diary, and we have Glory. And Glory being about June. Mainly about June. And man, I feel so bad for June. I do. Because that, like him waking up crying, having the nightmare of losing to Inashiro, and that was his dream. Like, he hadn't thought about the future. His only dream was to go to nationals. And then it wasn't realized. And it's such a great lesson, I think. It's such a great lesson to be like, okay, well, what do you do if your dream doesn't pan out? You just make a new dream, right? You just go for something new. And I love the idea that you can't change the past. You can only change your present and your future. I'm like, oh, that's so good. And I love that June is conflicted. We get to see him being conflicted as to what he wants to do after high school, because he's never really thought about it. He's always had nationals on the brain. And so we get that a lot of the players are going to university. A lot of them are continuing, like Chris, Masaka, Rio, Although Yuki is going to the university first, but like Chris and Masuka and Rio all want to play ball professionally. They want to go play college ball. And then June just isn't decided. And I like that we get to see his home life. His sister, I'm assuming his sister is Margaret. I'm assuming that's his sister. And she's a mangaka, or she's an author or an artist. The picture she was drawing looked like Moriarty the Patriot with a witch's hat on. That was so funny. It looked like Moriarty with a witch's hat on, so that's curious. But yeah, her drawing the manga and him like reading through her shoujo magazine like as he's on, it was a very sibling thing to do. Like if you have siblings, like my brother and I, if we hang out, like I'll sit on his bed and like look through a magazine and he'll be playing video games or something, and that's a very sibling like bond thing where he's just sitting on the bed with the magazine. But I love her comment. She's like, adults don't have a lot of options, so you need to take this time to figure out what you want to do. Like, explore everything you can. And that's so true. Like, when you're younger in high school, you have all these options, and then you figure out what you want to do. And then after you figure out what you want to do, yeah, adults do change their mind. They do get different jobs over time. It happens. But you kind of figure out where you want to go. And she's like, things are going to get easier once you're an adult. You need to explore your options now while you're young, and you have all these different things presented to you. And it's like, that's not bad advice. But I like his sister. That's so crazy. I love it. And then that metaphor of the clock stopping. The clock is still ticking for everybody else, but it stops for him. That's interesting. I really like that metaphor, that he kept feeling like the clock had stopped and he didn't know what to do. Like time wasn't moving forward. And then he finally like wills himself to be like, okay, no, I need to keep moving forward. We need to keep doing this. I'll figure it out. And Rio being the one to snap him out of it. And Rio being like, get a grip, man. You'll figure this out. But yeah. So, and then we get the line about you can only change your future in the present. You can't change the past. And June decides to go to Kansai University. So I don't know who else is going to Kansai. I don't remember. I feel like somebody else is going to Kansai, but I can't. Is Harada going to Kansai? Is that a thing? Is Harada going there? That would be crazy if Harada and June are on the same team. That would be interesting. But we got Coach Todoroki getting some news. So did Yukushi get invited to nationals? Did they get an invitation to nationals because they got runner-up? Isn't it that if you don't win, you have the option of getting an invitation if the committee approves? Was that it? That's why I took his crying as that they got an invitation to go to nationals. And so he was like, ah. But I don't know. I guess if we see them there, we'll know. But yeah, so then we have 2 months till spring invitationals in March. We get that, and we kind of get to see where everybody else is. We catch up with what everybody else has been doing. And so the guy at the end, I thought it was Zaizen for a minute, but his hair's way too dark. Zaizen is super blonde. I forgot that. But the Zaizen and Chris moment, Zaizen and Chris being the ultimate bromance, childhood friends, like doing physical therapy together, and Zaizen saying that he's given up on baseball as a career, but that Chris shouldn't. It's like, I love it. And then May, our bisexual king May, he's like in denial from his breakup with Miyuki, so he's just surrounding himself with all these girls. He's always around a bunch of girls. Oh, May. And Itsuki's like, May, aren't you going to say bye to Harada? And I love May's response. May's like, nah. He's like, I've already talked to him. He's like, as long as we're playing baseball together, there's no need to say farewells. It's like, oh, dude, my dude. I love that. I love that May's like, this is not the last time I'm going to see Harada. He's like, we're going to play together eventually. I'm like, May, his diva-ness will never get old. It's one of my favorite things about the show. I love how much of a diva May is. It's so wonderful. And then we see Kosei. So Kosei saying goodbye to the third years. They have a very Karasuno-looking attire for their uniforms, but him saying that he'll keep practicing and he'll produce results. I'm like, oh. Look at Kosei taking initiative. I like that we're setting up all these players who are going to be second and third years going into this new act and seeing how that dynamic is going to be. But the Todoroki softies, again, the Todoroki softies, our boys. Like, I like Coach Todoroki in that, like, suit with, like, the slightly unbuttoned shirt. He's like that green suit's really nice. And then he's, like, crying that all the third years are leaving. He's super emotional. Raichi is just off in the wings being his shy little self. Like, It is the most precious thing. I saw the other day, I shared it on Discord, but someone had sent me in the YouTube comments, I forget who it was, I wish I could remember your name, but sent me, actually it was multiple people sent me this, the link to Batman Under the Bridge, where it's the original pilot that Terajima had, the mangaka for Ace of the Diamond, where it was originally Raichi as the main character, and Sonata's in it, and it just shows him as a batter and learning from Sonata, and that was the main story originally before they switched to Sawamura. It was really sweet. I liked it a lot. It was cute. But I'm a big sucker for Ikushi, and so the whole thing with Coach Todoroki crying for the third year's leaving, being so emotional, and then Raichi being shy and adorable, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So then, yeah, we cut to the second match, and there's a weird buff guy watching Furuya from the TV, like a buff dude. What? I'm sure all of you that have seen Act 2 are like laughing at me in the comments, or laughing at me watching this, but I'm like, who is that? What is he doing? Is he trying to scout Furuya? Is he like a talent scout and he's seeing Furuya and he's like, come to our college? Is he going to offer like Furuya a ride? I don't know. It's curious they focused on him seeming super interested in Furuya. Very interesting. And Miyuki did say that Furuya's making a name for himself at Nationals. You should do the same too, Sawamura. It's like, he's like, I want my boyfriend to be just as popular as the Ace. But yeah, so Zono and Higasa didn't play in this game either. Zono, I'm looking at my notes. Zono and Higasa, they were off the bench. Zono, dude, what? So they weren't playing in Nationals. That's interesting. I guess, didn't they say, they said that for Nationals only 18 could play, that the roster's only 18 instead of 20? Isn't that the case? Because, yeah, it is. Because back during Season 1, there was talk that even if you made the top 20 starters, there's a chance that 2 of you will be left off if they go to Nationals. And so Zono and Higasa were the ones left off. That's so sad because Zono was like such a clutch person in the qualifying finals, but he gets kicked off. But it said he swung too much, so maybe he injured himself. I don't know. Interesting. And then I love that Miyuki's like, all right, Sawamura, make a name for yourself. And they're talking like on the mound. It's great. There's great synergy. I'm like, look at you. And here's the thing. As we're going into the second act, Act 2, Season 3, as we're going into this, we see our Sato boys having such camaraderie and synergy. And now we're about to introduce a whole set of new elements into there. We got Masashi, we got Koshu, we got Koshu's Bandana Bay, him included. They're all going to bring a new dynamic. So it's going to be kind of like when we started Season 1, where when Sawamura and Furuya showed up, Miyuki and all those guys had developed this synergy, and now it's incorporating a new element. So it's all coming kind of full circle. That's really cool. That's neat. But yeah, and then Haruichi has Ryo's glove. The glove he threw at the graduation at the end was his glove, and he gave it to Haruichi to take to Nationals with him. My heart. So yeah, I really liked these OVAs. These both were really good. It wasn't filler, it was just filling in the gaps in between both seasons. And that was really, really cool. I liked that a lot. So yeah. So that made me feel like more complete, like Season 2 was complete, and now we can go into Act 2. I still am curious if in Act 2 we're going to start out at Nationals, or I figure it's either going to be one of 3 ways. Either what's going to happen is we're going to start off where this OVA left off at that game and have them showing either winning or losing that game, which they were ahead by 3, so hopefully Sawamura didn't muck it up. But we're either going to start with that game that we left off here, Game 2 of Nationals, and we're going to go from there and finish up Nationals. We're either going to do that, we're going to start from the beginning of Nationals and show their first game leading up into this one, which that'd be like the 3rd time they've recapped it, so they probably won't do that. Or the other thing is they could just have it start after Nationals and we just find out what happened. Maybe they got out in round 3. I don't know. But I figure it's either going to start where this OVA left off at, or it's going to show us after Nationals where our boys were at and we start the new year. One of those two. I'm going to be a little disappointed if we don't get to see Nationals at all. It's going to be a little disappointing because we've built it up this whole time. We've built up Nationals the last 2 seasons, and if we just don't show it, that's going to be a little disappointing, but I'll trust the mangaka. I've trusted him this far, and this series has not let me down. I absolutely love it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's all the gaps are filled in, and we're ready to start Act 2. So that's where we're going to start next week. I'm so excited. So next week I'll start episodes 1 through 3 of Season 3, Act 2 of Ace of the Diamond. I hope you all enjoyed this reaction. I'm really eager to see your comments down below. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with Season 3, Act 2 of Ace of the Diamond. Till then, guys, bye.